Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Jordan and welcome to my November TBR, which is a very exciting month yet difficult month to plan for in terms of reading and content because it is baby month. I will be having a baby in the month of November, if not before, which is obviously a life-altering event. This is my third baby, so I know what to expect at this point, or at least I think I do. I hope I do. And while I can expect that obviously my life will be very disrupted, I'm gonna be super sleep deprived, I also am pretty hopeful, and based on previous experiences, am thinking that I will have a lot of time for reading and hopefully also still creating content and reading vlogs through that early postpartum period. And I have this confidence because last time, about 3 years ago, when I had my second child, I actually started a reading vlog, I believe the day I got home from the hospital. So it's possible. I'm motivated, I've got things to read. So let's talk about what is on my hopeful TBR for the month of November. I've got 12 books to talk about and they fit into 3 different categories. I would love to do reading vlogs for all of them if it works out. Obviously, if anything unforeseen happens, reading and vlogging is going to be like my lowest priority and my first thing to drop in order to focus on taking care of my baby and my family. But this is assuming everything goes smoothly. So the first area of books to focus on is all of my arcs for the rest of the year. I have gotten really behind on my NetGalley arcs. So I've got some from September and October that I still haven't gotten to yet that have already published. And then I've got one in December that I want to just go ahead and knock out in November if I can. I think this is going to be a really good plan for early November because I will read all of these books on my Kindle, and Kindle reading, especially with my Kindle holder and my little remote control, will make getting reading time in during those early sleep deprived weeks as easy as possible. So that's what I'd like to focus on. So the 6 books that I will be reading for that ARC vlog are, first of all, Here One Moment by Liane Moriarty. This book published on September 10th, so it's already been out for quite a while. I have read, I think, 1 or 2 other Liane Moriarty books and generally enjoyed them. I know she's a very popular author. This book sounds really interesting because I believe it's about a group of people who are on a flight, and during that flight, this weird like sci-fi thing happens where they're told when and how they're going to die. And so then everybody who was on that flight has to grapple with what they just learned and what they're going to do with that information. Sounds very intriguing. I actually haven't seen any reviews or anything for this book yet, so my hopes are still high and I hope it lives up to those internal expectations that I'm kind of setting onto it. The other September arc that I need to make up is Counting Miracles by Nicholas Sparks. I don't know if I've read any Nicholas Sparks books before. I've definitely seen several of his movies. I feel like it's been a while since he's last published a book, so I was curious about this one. It published on September 24th. Again, I've seen nothing about it in terms of reviews, and to be honest, I don't know much about the plot. I'm assuming it's going to be like a sentimental, emotional romance, but we'll see what Nicholas Sparks throws into this one. Then I've got 3 October arcs, which again have all already published by the time I'm filming this, that I need to catch up on. So first we have The Mistletoe Mystery by Nita Prose. This is a novella set in the same like world or universe as the Maid series. I have read those first 2 books, definitely interested in continuing on with Molly the Maid's story, and I think this is just like a fun, cute, short novella, obviously set around Christmas time, so I'm not too mad about having pushed this one off a little bit because I'm definitely getting more into the Christmassy mood as we get closer to the end of the year. Then I've got Find Her by Ginger Reno. This, I believe, is a hard-hitting contemporary book with a little bit of a mystery to it because it is about a young Indigenous girl whose mother has gone missing, and I believe she's trying to find her. And also I expect that this book is going to have a lot of commentary about missing Indigenous women and the widespread problem that that is. Really excited to get to it. It has already published. It came out on October 15th. And then the 3rd October release is Run by Blake Crouch. I believe this is actually a republishing of a book that is already out and I think is several years old. I haven't really heard of this book before or anyone's thoughts on it. I think it is an apocalyptic thriller. I have read many Blake Crouch books in the past and I've enjoyed almost all of them. So I'm interested to go back and read one of these thrillers that he wrote in the past, but I also think it's interesting that this one is being republished and remarketed. So we'll see what it has in store. That publishing date is October 22nd. And then the last book that I want to read as part of this ARC reading vlog comes out in December. It's called The Shutouts by Gabrielle Korn. It comes out on December 3rd, and I believe this is a queer dystopian sci-fi type book. I have not yet read a book by Gabrielle Korn, but I am, as we speak, working on an aardvark reading vlog in which I am reading a book by this author. I haven't gotten to it yet, so I'm not sure if I enjoy it yet, but the type of genre that she writes in is something that I typically enjoy. So I've got high hopes for her previous book, I've got high hopes for this one, and I'm excited to get to this one actually before its publication date, not like a year afterwards. So once I knock out that big kind of batch of books or arcs at the beginning of November, I'm hoping that in the end of November or in the second half, I will be able to squeeze in 2 other shorter reading vlogs. The first one being focused on nonfiction books. Nonfiction November is a fairly common thing to do, focusing on nonfiction books, and I have 3 that I have been interested in reading for a while. So I will do a nonfiction November sort of mini vlog featuring, first of all, Never Split the Difference, Negotiating as If Your Life Depended on It by Chris Voss. This is a nonfiction book about exactly what it sounds like, negotiations. This is a book that actually my workplace really stresses a lot. People talk about this book all the time and using it in our day-to-day work. I still haven't read it. I have read like summaries of this book, but I figured I would just go ahead and get my hands on a full physical copy, read the whole thing so that I can know what people are talking about and perhaps use it in my day-to-day work life. Similarly, the second book I want to get to is The Culture Map by Erin Meyer, Breaking Through the Invisible Boundaries of Global Business. In my day job, I do work with people all around the globe on a daily basis. So being curious and learning about other cultures is a huge part of what I do, not only from a personal, curiosity aspect, but also on the business side. It makes a lot of sense to understand different cultures if you're going to be working with people from different cultures, to understand how to better communicate effectively, how to make sure you're not being insensitive or offensive in any way. Things like that. I'm hoping to learn a lot from this book. This was recommended by a coworker, and as soon as she recommended it, I went ahead and got myself a copy. And then thirdly, the last nonfiction book I want to read in November is White Fragility, Why It's So Hard for White People to Talk About Racism by Robin DiAngelo. This is a book that I know a lot of people read around 2020 after the death of George Floyd and during the Black Lives Matter movement. I did read a lot of nonfiction centered around race around that time as well, but I never got to this book. So it's always kind of been lingering in the back of my mind as a book I want to read someday. I actually found this in a little free library in my neighborhood not too long ago. I did vlog that experience in case you missed that Unhaul little free library vlog, and I was so excited to see it. I obviously think that information like this should be sought out all the time, not just when there is a movement surrounding it. So excited to continue my education with this book. Okay, and then the third and final reading vlog that I want to do within November, if I can fit it in, is a Book of the Month reading vlog. I am a member of Book of the Month. Reading vlogs, reading my Book of the Month books are a staple on my channel. I do them every few months as I have the titles kind of pile up. I've got 3 currently that I need to get to. The first 2, I believe, are mystery thrillers. So we've got Mad Woman by Chelsea Beaker. To be honest, I know nothing about the plot of this book or anything. The top of the synopsis says, a gripping story of motherhood, mother loss, and the brutal, mighty things women do to keep themselves and each other alive. Those are things I enjoy, so excited to just give this book a chance. And then we've got Like Mother, Like Daughter by Kimberly McCreight. I have read from this author before and enjoyed her writing. It looks like another book centering around the theme of motherhood. So that's sort of a sub-theme that will emerge throughout this vlog, but I am excited to read Kimberly McCreight's newest and again, knock out another Book of the Month thriller. And then the third Book of the Month book I also picked up from a little free library. So technically I didn't order this through Book of the Month, but as you can see, it is obviously a Book of the Month copy, and it's Transcendent Kingdom by Yaa Gyasi. I have not read this author's most popular book, Homegoing, but if I enjoy this one, then I would absolutely go back to check that one out. But this one is more of a hard-hitting contemporary book about a family of immigrants. Again, family themed. I'm sure there's a mother within this book. So yeah, we're reading not only Book of the Month books in this vlog, but also Book of the Month books about motherhood specifically. So we'll see how that goes for me. So those are my reading plans for November. Again, we'll see what the month of November has in store for me. It's possible I don't get to all of these, and that is okay. It's also possible that I blow through these and have time to read even more, which would be amazing. And I definitely have other hopeful books on deck. So if that happens, we will take it as it comes. But please let me know if you have read any of the books that I talked about and what your thoughts were, so I can see if I agree or disagree once I get to them. Or let me know what books you have on your November TBR. Are there any readathons or anything that you are planning to take part in? I actually forgot to mention it, but there is Historathon happening throughout the month of November. It is a historical fiction readathon with lots of really fun prompts. My friend Lena is one of the co-hosts for this readathon, so I am definitely planning and hoping to fit in at least one historical fiction book within the month of November in honor of that readathon, but I will link her video below in case that sounds like something you would be interested in, so that you can check out all of the prompts and make yourself a TBR. But other than that, I don't think I have anything else. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one.